All right. Cool. What's up, Dream Dropshippers? I am here with the illustrious Charles Paleshi. How do you say it? Paleshi?
Pleschi, depending. An Italian CHI is ski, so it's technically ski, but that's
Okay.
CHI is ski in Italian.
Awesome, man. Awesome. From SparkShipping, you know that in module 4, week 4 of Dream Dropshipping, it's pretty much all aside from little things here and there. It's pretty much all about SparkShipping and why I use SparkShipping. I have no affiliation with SparkShipping, at least at this point in time, right, Charles? I don't get paid for anything.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I should, but I don't.
just a client.
And so it's all that module is about automating your entire drop shipping process. And I've gone from software to software to software to software, trying to find the best software for really automating your drop shipping when it comes to Amazon. And there's really nothing else out there that does what SparkShipping does. And so I wanted to get him on here to answer some of the questions that you guys had, and then also to be able to ask some questions that I think are pertinent toward your dropshipping business as well. So without further ado, Charles, introduce yourself and how in the heck did you come up with SparkShipping?
Yeah, so my name's Charles Pleschi, and if you can't tell quickly, I'm from Boston, judging by the accent. So let's see, kind of the background with SparkShipping. Probably back in 2010, I would say, a couple of us started doing a lot of custom development work for, random clients, built some web design, a lot of different integrations, things like that. Somewhere along the process, we ended up purchasing a small e-commerce site. It was a Magento-based site. We sold on Amazon, a couple things like that. We built that out to a couple different sites. We ran that for a few years. So that became kind of an interesting little side thing on top of the consulting. And as we were doing that, we kind of ran into this exact issue where we drop shipped. I think there were 5 or 6 different vendors, and we needed to get them orders every day. And it started to become an onerous type of process. And then we were realizing too, they're sending us inventory. We have a lot of SKUs. We're trying to update it, or sometimes we weren't, which was just bad. So we were like, we can, and we tried a couple of products out there. Nothing actually kind of worked that well. So we're like, we can actually build something that can do inventory updates. We can send orders to these guys. So we built this little in-house product and we were using it for a while. And then at some point we had some clients who were basically asking for something similar. So we started putting them on this product. I think it was just called the automation engine or something at the time. So they're using that for a while. And then at some point, a few years back, we ended up actually saying, okay, we should put a better name other than just the engine on it. So we called it SparkShipping, put the front end and everything, and started kind of opening up to the public. So that's really kind of the background there. And it's been a few years since. So
that's awesome. That makes it even better that you did it with the need in mind. So you were actually doing it. So it's not just some kind of, I know you and I were talking about this before, is there is a lot of other software where it's kind of like, this is what we do. We're an inventory control software, or we do this, and we realize that we have some drop shippers, so we'll do a couple little things over here. But I've never seen anything that is just fully 100% for drop shippers like you. So it definitely shows that you actually do this stuff.
Yeah, and that was really, we built it with that a singular purpose in mind. And that was kind of the goal from the beginning, was to just be very efficient at inventory, orders, tracking, and getting those back and forth. Because on a daily basis, that's kind of what you do. You're pulling down inventory, you're sending orders, you're getting back tracking. So if we can do all that, that's, the goal is to be, if you're doing this, whatever you do every day, that's what we want to do. And we do integrate. There are also, for instance, there's software out there like ShipStation, things like that. They do label printing if you're physically sending out products. We even integrate with those guys. We just don't try to do that. So, we're not trying to be like the label generator. We don't do that. We integrate. If you want to do that, you can send data over there. And, that's our goal.
I love it. I love it. Cool. So what I'm going to do is there were some questions that came in from our Facebook group, and then I'm actually going to ask questions that I think are really pertinent that a lot of people have asked in the past that I've heard, and also things that I know that people would want to know that would even help them, even if they're not necessarily using SparkShipping yet. It would help them with their drop shipping business. So I'm gonna ask you some questions, and if they're too tough, too bad. Just kidding. So this is actually one of the reasons why I loved SparkShipping. Like it was really after this particular moment when you added this feature that I was like, oh my gosh, it's game over. I mean, it's there's really no. I mean, there are other places that do similar things, but not nearly as well as SparkShipping. But big question: can you bundle things from different vendors using SparkShipping, and how does that kind of work?
Yeah. So, I mean, basically what we do is we have I mean, the answer is yes, the short answer. The longer answer is what we do is one product can have multiple vendors or vendor SKUs even attached to it. If you, by default, it'll send to, you can also include the unit cost, what you actually purchase those for. So you can purchase, let's say purchasing, I don't know, headlights from 10 different manufacturers. You can then say whatever manufacturer has it in stock, go to the cheapest. With the case of a bundle, if you mark the product as a bundle, it will do the same concept, except it'll send to all of those vendors that you map for all of those products. You can basically split out 5 different SKUs behind that. They could go to, 3 go to this one vendor, 2 go to this other vendor, and then it'll generate the order. It'll out to those different vendors and basically split it apart. And those vendors kind of see it as one order, so they don't know there's other products even attached. That's all on your side. So it all just gets multiplexed out.
It's pretty cool. I love that. And especially as an Amazon seller, because part of the reason why we do bundling in the first place is just so we have a unique product. And whether it's bundling within the same vendor or multiple vendors, there's a barrier to entry there. Because I could bundle this glass jar with this kebab set or something like that, and somebody would have to, if they're doing it manually, they would have to go and say, okay, well, every time I send this, I'm gonna have to do those 2 things. And I could even have like in the description saying also includes an extra kebab or something like that, and then in SparkShipping put that this is the bundle, one kebab set, and then 1 glass jar, and boom, it'll send it to the same vendor. Or I can make it even better, like you said, is if there's other vendors, I could say from this vendor and this vendor, and the person who is competing with you has to have both of those vendors in order to actually compete with you, or else they're not going to be able to get the actual product. So it's pretty amazing. And I don't know of any really. There's one other that I know could do that, but it doesn't do it very well. And how have you seen as far as response to that from your other customers with the bundling thing? Are they use it a lot?
Definitely a lot of interest on it. So the 3 major platforms we support at the time currently are BigCommerce, Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce, and Amazon Seller Central. And the other ones, a lot of people might do bundling inside the actual shopping cart. When it comes to Amazon, there's no way to do that. So there's just one SKU we're going to get the order for, and then it's up to us to take that SKU and then break it apart to multiple vendor SKUs. So with Amazon, you see kind of we get the most out of that there, where there's really no other choice. You have to do it that way. So
I love it. I love it. That's great. So let me go to the next question. I accidentally closed it, so I have to go and find it. All right. Next question is, actually, do you recommend bundling things from different vendors?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I know a lot of folks. We didn't do it back in the day in our business, but I know a lot of the folks who do it, like, highly recommend it, and I hear some good things about it. So it's one of those things that it's definitely getting, as people are finding the feature, it's getting more popular. And we've gotten great feedback on it. So it seems to work.
That's so awesome. I love it. I love it. Let's see. So I'm going to skip that question because it's more of a course question. So Here's the problem that I run into quite a bit is there are a lot of, a lot of vendors are not very big, and they're small mom and pop manufacturers, and they don't have like anything like an API that you can connect to, or they don't use FTP, or they don't use EDI or anything that would allow you to 100% automate that stuff. So SparkShipping would essentially send emails or CSV files to them or whatever. How do you either find vendors that have that, or convince them and help them to have that, where it's a more integrated thing?
Yeah. So, I mean, it really depends, right? Because we can do whatever the vendors can do. And kind of, as you said, like they range in a total span of technological sophistication, we'll say. And we can do anywhere from like a plain text email with just, the order in the body of the email, a CSV, FTP, XML, and then moving up the chain, go to EDI or custom APIs. So it's really kind of that whole span. And kind of the cool part there is you can get an order for 3 different vendors. One might be getting a plain text email, where another one might be doing some API, whereas the other guy, you might be FTPing an XML file of some whatever proprietary format. So we can break it apart and do all of those, which is kind of cool. So the way to kind of, I guess, if you are working with people today that are kind of just doing like the plain text, it's real simple, and you're trying to like slowly kind of like work them up to it. What a lot of people do, I've seen actually pretty good success, is start off. I mean, they're not going to go directly to some API. They're not going to install some like big inventory management system. They're just not. You can't convince them. They're little guys anyway. But you could go pretty easily and say, okay, let's attach a CSV to an email. Everyone has Excel. They can open it. It's fine. They're going to get the CSV. And that's kind of like a first little like dipping a toe into the water sort of thing. And the nice part there, what a lot of people do then is okay, we'll send you a CSV, whatever the columns are, first name, last name, street address, quantity, SKU, whatever. Last 2 columns, we're going to leave blank. They're going to be the carrier and the tracking number. So what we'll do there is, hey, vendor, whenever you fulfill this order, you do your thing, take the spreadsheet that we sent you, take the exact, and just put in the tracking number, put UPS, save it, email us back at this address. We can accept tracking via email. They go right back to the address. That then pulls in tracking and processes that way. So you're not trying to like teach them. You're basically really kind of leading them there and saying, I'm just going to hand you the format. I'm actually just going to put the blank columns there. Just put the data in the columns, and then here's the email address. Come right back. So for every tracking update you create in SparkShipping, you get a unique email address, and you can just have them go to that. With inventory too, actually, we can take it via email, or B, you can also do it via Dropbox, which a lot of people don't know, and we can do a HTTP GET. So you tell.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
A lot of people get that a lot. A lot of people like talking to support. They're like, you can? I'm like, yeah, you can. So yeah, every time you do a manual upload in SparkShipping, if you set it as manual, you'll see a custom email address. It's this real long, like, whatever, XYZ at inventory.sparkshipping.com. So whatever manual upload you create also works as email too. And then Dropbox, if you have a look in Dropbox, they have you can say right click on it, get link, that generates an HTTP accessible link. So tell the vendor the same thing. Just take a CSV, put it in this Dropbox whenever you feel like, and just let SparkShipping check out the Dropbox. When it finds a file, when it finds it's been updated, it'll pull it in, update the inventory quantities. So you're not like teach them to do something new. You're really just saying like, just save it to a Dropbox. You don't need to like learn some other thing. Even worst case, just email it. I don't care, once a week, do whatever. Just get it to me once in a while, and that'll at least be better than nothing. So you can start slow and kind of, get people going in the right direction. That kind of helps them, and it helps them from their side too, because they're probably going to use the same format with their other clients and start saying, oh yeah, we send inventory via email. I'm like, oh, really? You didn't do that last week, but okay, now you can do it for everyone. So
that's cool. I actually just had some that happen with a vendor where they send. I'm like, oh, I didn't know you send in your inventory via email, and I didn't know. Like, I was trying to do some kind of like fancy like. I was going to set up something on Amazon S3, and then figure out how to set up FTP somehow with Amazon S3 and all that stuff. I had no idea that you could actually, so you can take it in via email, or you can have it, because you could do, so the way I have it with this particular vendor is they email my normal, just like my personal email address. And then I actually have Zapier parse out, basically, or no, sorry, no, I have a Google Gmail actually just forward it to a Zapier parsed email address or something like that. I forgot how I did it. And then it goes to, then goes to, it was Amazon S3 or whatever, but I could actually have it. So I could actually have it go to, let me see if I can create, I can
skip all those middle steps.
Yeah. Wait, so how does that, okay. So if they're emailing me every week and it's the exact same email.
Yep.
So I can forward that email to what?
So this is for inventory?
This is for inventory. This is just inventory, not tracking.
So if in SparkShipping, go on there and support if you ever need anything. Sometimes there's some confusion. Feel free to just open up a support ticket. There's a little tab.
You guys have awesome support, by the way.
Thank you. So go in there, create a new inventory upload. You can create multiple inventories for one vendor. So even if you are also doing it via FTP or wherever you're going currently, just add an additional one. Say manual. Go in there, you format it. So the way it works, you upload a sample of the file. It kind of uploads all the columns in the CSV. You then say the 8th column is the SKU, the 35th column, whatever, is the quantity. So we know that's where to expect it. We kind of know what the limiter will be. So some people also, to note, CSV, it's an actual format. Most people don't know that, and most vendors don't actually abide by that. They use a tilde or a pipe or some weird quote characters. It's all different, so we try to have a lot of little switches you can pull to.
Yeah, I noticed that. You can just change the delimiters and things like that in SparkShipping.
Yeah, or header. You can even make the header and say it's multiple rows. Like they do a lot of, because we work with so many vendors, you come up with a lot of weird formats. If everyone calls it the same thing, but they're not really the same thing, they're really different. So you can pull those switches, eventually get it to input that via manual. And then right when you go to say upload manual file at the bottom, you'll see an email address. You can do it right on the website or just forward it to that address. So right from your Gmail, you just write a roll.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, interview's over. I got to go do this. Seriously, that is really cool. I had no idea. Like, was that something new? Because anytime I saw manual, I'm like, oh, I don't want to do anything manual.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a lot of people skip the manual. Yeah, that's funny. A lot of people skip that. Yeah, probably early. I would say real towards early this year.
Okay, then that might be why. Because I was like, I set up a lot of my vendors, and so I already have my little way of doing things, and so that's really dang cool. And so then if we wanted to do the Dropbox side of things, I already know a couple of my students who are going to be like, oh, I didn't know you could do this. This is crazy. So like the Dropbox thing. So say I create a Dropbox folder where only, say it's like my vendor folder, and then I have, or like an overall vendors folder, and then I have all my different vendors, and I drop it into XYZ vendor. How then do I get have SparkShipping automatically check like that Dropbox area?
So we actually have if you go to support.SparkShipping, we have a little article on this because so many folks use Dropbox. So when you put it in Dropbox, you can always right click and say get link. What that gives you is a link to a web page with a picture of that file on it that you can click and download. Not actually something SparkShipping download. But kind of a little trick there is if you look at that whole link, the last 4 characters will be DL equals 0. Generates the same every time. Just change that 0 to a 1. That link, if you post that into your robot, the file will just download.
Oh.
So that's what yeah, it's a little trick. We literally have a support article. So many people ask this question.
Wow.
If you get that link, it's just a picture. It's like a web page with a download on the web page, which is not what anyone wants.
Wow. And so does it have to be, it has to be named, does the file have to be named the same and all other stuff every single time? Or is it really, it's more of the, the formatting inside of the file?
I think you'll want to name it this, I'm not sure. That's more on the Dropbox side. I think you want to name it the same thing, but don't quote me on that one. But the format in the file you want to be consistent. Because if it's whatever that is, CSV, Excel file, whatever that happens to be, it needs to look the same tomorrow, because we're just assuming when you tell us the SKU is in this column and the quantity is in this column, we're going to look for that.
Yeah.
And the delimit is this. We're going to assume tomorrow the delimit is still that. So basically, same thing. Instead of setting manual FTP, you can set HTTP. We'll go get it, same day. And you can say get it every hour, every day, every week, whatever you want to do.
Oh, so glad we talked, Carl.
I know this is working out for everyone.
Yeah, seriously, this is really cool because that actually solves a big issue. So I mean that's just from the inventory side, because a lot of people, like I said, is a lot of vendors, they can send an email or they can drop a file in Dropbox or whatever. They're more than happy to do that, but going any more than that, it becomes a little bit harder and harder and harder. So that's great. And man, I'm already good at. I want to set that up right now because that's amazing.
And we kind of made the conscious decision too, because we know a lot of vendors, a lot of everyone. People work in email. That's kind of your inbox. A lot of times the vendors, even what you see, it's not even like a generic email address like dropshipping at XYZ vendor. It's literally like Fred at this vendor, and it's like a man named Fred, and he's like opening the like. You see that pretty often. You'd be surprised. So and you don't want, we have, I know there's some competitors that they have like a vendor portal where you try to get the vendors to give them a login and they do their thing. It sounds like a great idea, but what really happens is you're trying to get that guy Fred to do something else, and you're like adding work onto his day and saying, no, log in this extra thing and give me he doesn't want to do that. He just wants to do whatever he does. If he's pulling it from his inventory system and we can go API, we'll put it there. If he's just working an email, let's just go there. Because giving him another thing to do each day, he's either just going to say blatantly no, or he's going to actually even be worse and say yes, but then actually not do it.
Right.
So it's one of those two options. He's just going to say no or just not do it, even worse. So just put it wherever he's working. If he's an email, put it there. If they do have a system we can inject it in, using API, let's go there. Yeah. Or if they're even using like ShipStation, we see this a bunch. We can even inject it into like their ShipStation account. We don't even need their login. You give them, if you want SparkShipping, you add a vendor, like a ShipStation type vendor, and it adds gives you custom login, custom password that then your vendor or you in your account, they can add a custom store. So they can see in their ShipStation account, I have like another store under here, and that's just your orders. And when they update the order, they send it out. We automatically get notified. We pull that in. That goes up to your store, goes up to Amazon, and it's all automatic.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. That's yeah. That solves a huge problem. That solves a really, really, really big thing that I didn't know you could do. And so that just staying inventories. That's pretty cool, man. Let's see. So let me ask this next question. Oh, I mean, you already answered that. How do you convince vendors to give better inventory updates? I mean, it's just making it easy for them now that you know that you can just have them send via email, because that's one vendor that I have. It comes from a guy named Dan, and
yeah, literally, it happens more often than you think. It's literally the Fred or the Dan, and he just sends you inventory and he just emails it to you.
Yeah.
And we just hope it's some sort of format we can actually like automate. We've seen some. We try to be pretty open with that. Like almost anything, we've seen things where it's like a spreadsheet and it's like pitches in the spreadsheet, and it's like, guys, like, or just some very odd things. But we try to do. I mean, we can probably do like 98% of vendors in some pretty weird ways. So if they can send something that looks like it can be automated, we can probably do it.
Wow, that's cool. Oh, I love it. Love it. All right, cool. So now with the tracking, is that generally kind of what you said? That's probably that's the next hardest thing, is getting tracking from vendors. Is that probably the easiest way to do it, is sending, and then I'm going to, well, here, I'll just ask it the same thing. So sending them a CSV saying, hey, when you get the UPS number for this. Can you just drop it in this Dropbox or email it back to me or whatever with the tracking number? That sounds like it's the easiest way to do it, to kind of get their foot in the door with that.
Yeah, it's probably, I'd say for small vendors, that's probably the easiest way to start. If there are any vendors that are doing sort of volume, they're gonna. The thing is, big vendors that are doing sort of volume, they already have this all worked out. You're not going to tell them; they're going to tell you. So they'll say, we have an FTP. Here's your login. Here's the directory. Here's our format. No, we can't change it. That's just how we're going to do it. So then we can go and format what we do to that. We go to log into their FTP, and we can get it from there. Yeah. The little guys that don't have that, you're trying to kind of like work them in and say, oh, you were going to send it like and just randomly an email. Could you just throw it in the CSV? It's not that much harder. And just email it. You're going to email it anyway. Just email an attachment. It's not that much more. And if Bob or Fred are nice enough, we just hope they would do that. We've seen people try to throw it in like the body of an email, like real little guys. That's just real. It's not a very reliable way to parse. So, if it's something we can't reliably do for you, we try to say, let's try to get you in a format we can actually reliably parse or figure out.
Because even with Zapier's parser, which they're always updating and everything like that, you'll have errors.
And you don't know you have, and the problem is it's silent too, which is even worse. Like, it's one thing having an error if you know you have the error. It's even worse having the error when you find out 3 weeks later when someone's calling you and they're upset because they didn't get their product. So we try those are the worst errors where you think everything's okay and it's not okay. So we'd rather, if it breaks, to know that it breaks, or to have it in a format where it won't break. And also we work with a lot, SparkShipping, a lot of client base is global. So a lot of the carriers, it's not UPS and FedEx. We can just look for that ID. It's global carriers. And then also a lot of them are, what do you call it? Like a lot smaller courier type people, where they have like some of these tracking numbers you've never even heard of them before. The format is, it's like sometimes like a 4-digit, it's just 4 numbers, like the tracking number. And like, oh, okay. It's like they're very little, because these are like little regional carriers. So you can't really reliably parse this. Versus if you throw it in, some sort of format, like a CSV, we can reliably say, okay, we know even if that tracking number is 4 digits, that's the tracking number, and we'll take the carrier, we'll believe you, whatever it's in there, and we can pull that in. So it's a lot more reliable.
That's cool. I love that. So kind of going on that, what was the question I was going to ask? It had to do with the tracking numbers. So with Amazon, I send my vendor a CSV with 5 products. Hey, when you get these products, just put the tracking number in there, blah blah blah. And they do that, and it goes into SparkShipping. Does SparkShipping actually put the tracking number into Amazon?
Yeah, we put the tracking number into Amazon, which is important, right? Because you want to get that in there as quick as possible. And if they send it at 9 p.m. at night and you're not sitting in front of a computer, we can actually pull it in, put that up there. And then B, you can also I don't know if you've seen this either. A lot of times the vendors, what they'll do is they call Amazon, they'll call UPS like some sort of code, UP1 UPGRND, some UPS GRND. You can't send that to Amazon. Amazon accepts UPS, FedEx. They have a list. You've probably seen it. You need to select it from that list. So what we allow you to do is wherever we know that carrier is going to be mapped, you can map vendor carrier codes to Amazon carrier codes. So we can do that translation for you. So if they say it's, just 1D GRND and it's 1 day ground, but that's going to be UPS in your head, map that in the tracking update in SparkShipping. Every time we see that from the vendor, we'll automatically translate that for you to UPS.
That's cool.
The same goes for orders too, right? Because the vendors, they get your Amazon shipment, what you're looking for, and it's the Amazon like standard something, like it's very ambiguous, and the vendor sometimes will freak out and they'll say, "Is this FedEx? Is UPS? I don't know. What are you sending me right now?" You can take whatever those Amazon codes are and map them to whatever you want the vendors to see. So if you just want to say FedEx ground, just map that. And you can do that all in SparkShipping, so that two-way mapping.
I had no idea you could do that actually, because it's funny. Whenever I'm sending emails off, it'll say, yeah, it'll be like free economy shipping or whatever. And I've had, now the vendors that I know, they're like, oh, okay, I get it. Just pretty much ignore it and just do our own shit. But the first time they're like, well, we don't offer free, you know, getting it at like 50% off right now. You can't do that.
Yeah, and if you email him, luckily that guy, you know, Fred or whatever his name is, he'll figure it out eventually. But if you email him some huge like vendor, they're just gonna actually take the order and like reject it, and that'll be the end. Yeah. And like it'll just never get fulfilled. Like, oh, okay. So for those you like really need to. For the little guys, it's just nice. And the nice part is then if you want to change it up one day and go from UPS to FedEx, just do that in SparkShipping, and all your orders are mapped as such. So
that's cool. That's cool. That's great, man. That really, I mean, it really answers the questions that I had. I know a lot of people, it's kind of hard getting into SparkShipping first, because really, it's not. I mean, I didn't really have that much of a problem, aside from not knowing that you could do certain things. But it's not like a drag and drop type thing. When people sign up, you guys have kind of like an onboarding process still?
Yeah, we usually, I mean, I think we still reach out to every new sign up. Someone from support will probably ping you in the first, day or two, just kind of ask, do you need any help, sort of thing. A lot of folks, if you're doing, we have guides on how to like map products. So, you create your vendors, you can associate the products with that. It's pretty straightforward. We even have articles that kind of like walk you right through it. Yeah. If you're doing things like just a plain text email, like a CSV, a lot of guys just go in there and do it themselves. We also offer a service. It's like a $99 one-time fee. If you're doing like API, EDI, definitely do it with us. We'll basically, you can send us the spec. We can look at it. We can just tell, we can basically get it all ready for you. And all you have to really do is map your products. And kind of walk through some testing with us, basically. And our team can kind of do a lot of the legwork. A lot of folks even do that too. Let's say they're doing, 5 CSV vendors. They might do that for the first one. And after you see the format, it is pretty straightforward. But at first, like you said, yeah, you go in there and you're like, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff. A lot of times they have us do the first one and they kind of just clone it. And, it's pretty easy you see it done once, just follow it. So.
Totally. Yeah, because even with that, when I was doing the CSV stuff, I was like, okay, is that variable right? Is that variable right with different headers and things like that? And yeah, so it's definitely beneficial, your whole onboarding stuff that you offer. So cool, man.
It would be great to someday do that drag and drop thing, but with this is so many the vendor formats.
I don't even know how you would do it, like, because there's so much stuff.
And that's the problem. You don't want to box yourself into saying we only do these formats, because the whole goal is doing as many formats as we possibly can. And if that's kind of the decision to make the product more open, by nature it becomes a little more complex, right? If we locked you and said we just send emails, this one format, you're done, that's it. We don't do any of this API, we don't do any of these other things, it'd be easy. But saying we work with APIs, EDI, any format CSV, and XML files, by nature, it's a little more complex to set up. But an analogy I always use is SparkShipping is kind of like installing a heating system in your basement. It's one of those things that you kind of buy it, install it, get it set up, and then once you do it and it's running correctly, it just kind of runs, and you don't really go down. Hopefully, you don't have to go and like fiddle with it. It just does its thing, and your house is warm for the next 20 years.
Totally.
And that's kind of our goal, to get it. Once it gets set up, orders just come in from the shopping cart. They go out, tracking comes back. Everything just kind of happens every day, and we just kind of sit down there in the basement and do our thing for, as long as you want. So.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Like, as even I had a sale, like a $549 sale on one of my products last night, and I love the thing. And I always tell my students, it's the best thing is when you see a sale come in, you're like, oh, that's cool, and you just go about your day. Like it's rather than going, oh crap, okay, I have to go email this vendor. Which one was that? Oh, which SKU was that? Oh, okay, it was this SKU, these 2 SKUs. Oh, okay. Email, grab the shipping, all that other stuff. It's just like, oh, okay, cool, I'm in a sale. And then this morning, getting a confirmation from one of my vendors just saying, oh, cool, got it.
Yep.
And I'm like, this is great.
Well, and it's getting it in sooner. Certain vendors, when you start getting low stock, like let's say under 10 in stock for a certain item, whoever gets that email in first is actually getting that stock, right? So if the email comes in Friday night at 9 and you're just, you're out, you're not paying attention, and you don't send that until Sunday afternoon, someone might have already got that stock from you. So getting in actually helps you, because the vendor usually comes in the morning and just kind of sorts his email and says like, okay, this guy gets it, and these 5 guys, sorry, out of stock. So there are times where being the first is beneficial too for those reasons.
That's great. That's great, man. All right, that's it. This is I need to go and modify some of my stuff now, thanks to you.
Yeah, good. If you need any help, contact support. We'll be here.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. I really appreciate you taking the time out of here, out of your schedule. It's it's cool because this is what, to me, like this type of software separates the real drop shippers from people who are just kind of dabbling. I even had one student who, like it was when we first started Dream Dropshipping, I just mentioned EDI, and I had a coaching call with him. I mentioned EDI in one of the videos that we did because of SparkShipping. And he's like, as soon as you mentioned EDI, I knew that you had a serious dropshipping course, because he used to work for a company who used EDI to do all their dropshipping.
Yep.
And so
a lot of the big guys, that's when you start seeing EDI or APIs. So EDI, a lot of folks have tried to kind of get that like standardized format. So a lot more people are using that, but also then APIs, and those are completely across the board. So either of those two usually indicate you're probably one of the bigger manufacturers or warehouses or whatever. So
cool. I love it, man. All right, cool. Well, I'm going to let you go, guys. If you guys are making enough profit already on, if you're, I always tell people, like, if you're up to at least $500 in profit with your drop shipping business, there's no reason why you shouldn't do SparkShipping, because it will. I was even having lunch with a Dream Drop Shipping student who's doing about that. I think even more. And I'm like, why are you not using SparkShipping? Because it doesn't make sense, because you're able to delegate all that stuff to an automated process. So thank you so much, Charles. I appreciate your time, and we'll definitely stay in touch, and hopefully make some more of these videos as more.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. All right. Any questions, feel free to reach out to us. My email also is charles@SparkShipping. So I'm here, and feel free to let me know if you need anything.
Awesome. All right, guys. We'll see you later, and definitely get out there if you don't already have SparkShipping, to take Charles up on it and get going. See ya.
Thanks. See ya.